Welcome to the DMF. I'm your host, Justin Yachts, and today is part 2 of my interview with director Joe Lamb, award-winning director Joe Lamb. He has Shining Light Pictures. He has directed a short film called Fugitive Zero, which has won numerous awards, and he is directing his first feature film, The Fetus, and we're going to talk about all that. So enjoy.
This will be your first feature film, correct?
Correct. The Fetus will be my first.
The
this
Fetus.
Is my directorial debut.
This will be your directorial debut, and I think it's long awaited. I mean, you've been ready for this for a while now, and this is and you also have cast Bill Moseley of Rob Zombie's Devil Rejects fame and House of a Thousand Corpses. Talk about that process of securing that person.
Well, that has to do with my producer, Joe Barbagallo, because Bill Moseley was in my top 3 choices, and I wasn't sure if we were going to get him, but yeah, Joe B. We call him Joe B. because there's two of us. I'm Joe L. He's Joe B. in our production team. He went ahead and sent him the script with an offer. And I heard back that within 3 hours, Bill Moseley said, "Yeah, I want to do it." And we were all shocked. We said, "What? Okay." I mean, negotiations happened for another 2 weeks. And then everything was finalized. And yeah, so he's been on board. He signed several weeks ago, and we've been casting around him in the meantime and getting the rest of the crew. We are 6 weeks out from principal photography, and we're just very excited because he comes with the fan base. He's got 40 years experience, a lot of horror films, and he can definitely pull off this villain role without a doubt. You know, I have so much trust and faith in his ability, obviously, because what we've seen him do before, and he loves the role. He absolutely loves it. I did a Zoom call with him after he signed on, and you know, he just said, "Joe, this hits home for me because I'm a father with two daughters, you know." So, and in the story, he's you know, the protector of his daughter, who he's also using, unfortunately, for nefarious means. So
now, yeah. When I was reading it, I don't want to give a lot away, but yeah, you've never seen him do this kind of role before, so I could see how he would be. And there's a lot of interesting things he can play with. I mean, it's such a fun script. I don't want to give too much away because I want people to see it and be blown away by it as I am reading. But yeah, this Bill Moseley. With that, yeah, you said 6 weeks out. How do you feel things are progressing with the project?
Oh, it's going very well. We've hired most of our crew. Again, we're still working on casting. We just brought on a really talented actress. Actually, today we found out that, you know, negotiations are final. She's going to sign, and she is my top choice. So as you know, there were, for the guys and the girls, there were over 8,000 submissions for the 2 male lead and female leads, and so I spent weeks reviewing submissions, self-tapes. I saw yours as well, Justin. So, you know, so thank you for sending it in.
Thank you.
So we have not hired the male lead yet, you know, so it was important to hire the female first because after the villain role, which Bill Moseley is playing, the female was the next most challenging, if not as equally challenging, because she's the one that has this fetus, half human, half monster inside of her that comes out of her to feed on people and goes back into her. Extremely challenging. And so the third is the male lead, you know. And I've been storyboarding, so having meetings every time I storyboard. Then I'll have meetings with our cinematographer, and he's great because his work is nominated for a Student Academy Award, Student Emmy. He's a teacher at USC Cinematic School of Arts. His name is Jeremy Royce, and so I'm thrilled to be working with him again. He shot Fugitive Zero. We had such a great working relationship that I wanted him back for this. And yeah, so I have only 20 pages left to storyboard out of the 80-page screenplay. And everything's going well. All locations secured. All of our crew housing is secured. and we're going for a private chef. That would be ideal. So we don't have to like travel a lot or do deliveries, especially with COVID, everything has to be like boxed lunches, boxed dinners. But if we can have a chef that just cooks and packages everything, and then, like a mile away from our shoot location, that would be ideal. So, and we came back from Pennsylvania just, I think, a month ago for a location scout, and actually did a Zoom recording with our cinematographer to figure out, how we're going to do everything, where we're going to place the makeup room, the equipment storage, and all the shots and everything. So we still have more to do. So we'll get there 1 week in advance before shooting, he and I and one of our co-producers, and we'll do, go through all the shots, every single shot one by one. We're very, very meticulous in this process, because to me, if an investor is giving us $500,000 to do this, and the budget's gone up to 550,000. I raised a little bit more for visual effects and some marketing and things like that. I want to give this film the best shot possible to make a return on the investment, because after this, we're going for Fugitive Zero. Because the thing is, our producer said, when I first met him at Virtual Cannes, I sent him Fugitive Zero. He was the 10th producer that I had messaged. He loved it. He actually offered for me to direct a horror movie that was $450,000 budget, or maybe it was like 250, something like that. I don't remember now. I didn't like the screenplay, and I was like, can I write something else for you? And he said, sure, go ahead. 3 days later, I give him an outline. He's like, okay, when can you have the screenplay? I said, give me 1 month. He's like, yeah, right. Like, yeah, right, kid, come on. And
deadline.
It's one month for that day. Yeah, 1 month for that day, I delivered the first draft. And he's like, you know what, this is good enough. Let's go into development. So a year later, 40 drafts later, we've assembled this team, and 6 weeks to go, and we're looking forward to shooting. So.
Awesome. That's awesome. I'm so excited. I think you're ready for this. I love what you're doing. You're already storyboarding everything. So you're taking care of the risk factor. I mean, when you're shooting, there's always risk, because it's just, everything goes wrong, oh, the light doesn't work. Oh, you get another light. You have to be prepared for everything. But by storyboarding it, knowing exactly where you want to shoot everything, you've taken a lot of the guesswork out. Because I've, been on, films where it's like, oh, we didn't plan anything out. It's like, okay, so this is going to go over.
Yeah, I
so
never
switching, yeah, no, it's not. Always be prepared. Be prepared. As an actor, you need to always be prepared. Know your lines, know them backwards and forwards. Be prepared. If you have to improv, change, always be ready. Read the script, do everything, know everything that you can know. Switching gears a little bit here, I wanted to talk a little bit. So you're kind of dabble a little bit in real estate. You published a book called Airbnb Mastery. Is a book something you always wanted to do?
Yeah, I figured that if I can help others achieve what I achieve, then why not? Like, why keep it all to myself? I mean, yeah. I taught kids filmmaking. They were age 8 to 16 at a kids camp before. I had a whole department, and we would make short films with them. They have a short film at the end of the week during their camp stay. So the educator part has always been inside of me. And actually, my first book that I wrote on my own was actually filmmaking success, making the teen comedy. And this is when I was trying to get a teen comedy off the ground. And I'd actually produced and directed a trailer called Gawkward, and was shopping around, like going to producers, and I couldn't make it because as a comedy, it doesn't sell in other countries. And so unfortunately, even though I had wrote a book as well, because I figured they're not going to read my screenplay, I'll at least give them the book. And
yeah.
People value a book, so they keep a book. And I figured, if they like the book enough, or the fact that I am doing extra, more than just having a screenplay and this trailer, that maybe they'll take a chance on me. It didn't happen. So I will have another book.
That's a great try. I mean, that
yeah.
just didn't work out. I mean, that is a smart way to approach it. Writing a book, giving them something more tangible, to to look at and be like, well, here's this, as opposed to here's the screenplay, here's the book as well, and I saw that trailer and I liked the way you cut it and everything. And I was like, yeah, it's another thing I was really impressed with. I don't want to go through every single film, but yeah, I loved Gogward. So this is your second book. That's cool. Can you talk a little bit about the process of writing a book?
It varies. I mean, I wrote Filmmaker Success, the teen comedy one, like literally in 1 month. I just watched 25 of the top most successful teen comedy movies, just wrote it all out. And then I edited it for the next month or two. And then for Airbnb Mastery, that was a longer process. That was COVID happened and the moratorium shut everything down. So we were buying homes in pre-foreclosure for very low. Like we'd get in for like 18 to 20,000 for a home and help people get out of foreclosure, which is really negatively impacts them. And these homes were the values were like 300,000 to 700,000. Sometimes we relocate the families to another place while I'm looking for another house for them. But the moratorium stopped everything. And I just figured like, we had run the homes as Airbnbs as well to generate cash flow. And I said, why don't I just, write about that experience to help others in this area? And from there, then it actually led to teaching at a company called Pips Path. That's a real estate education company. And I host a what's called a RIA, Real Estate Association, every Monday nights, and there's like, sometimes turn 20 to 50 students on there that are learning about real estate investing. And so now I manage a bunch of properties here in Las Vegas for short-term rentals, and they're Airbnbs, they're travel nurses, working professionals, short-term, mid-term rentals. And I have flips in Texas, just selling a house right now. It's closing on the 12th of next month. And we have 2 more that are under renovation. So I raise the funds and then I work with my real estate partner who is on the ground there in Texas, and he supervises the contractors and gets it all done and deals with the realtors, so yeah, so that's my real estate background.
Awesome. That's great. Do you find that having that experience in real estate allows you to transfer to filmmakers? I imagine the idea that the deadline of real estate that comes in with filmmaking. So the fact that you got to move. Do you think those two kind of work hand in hand? Is that?
Yes. The best thing that I learned from real estate was I learned how to put together a whole investment proposal and demonstrate the strategy, the returns, the comparables for homes that are sold in that area. And from there, I was able to do the same thing with the film, as well as with the guidance of our producer, Joe B. And, I work with him to put together a whole proposal and get the comps, because getting comps for movies is similar to getting comps for real estate. You look at the previous films in the same budget range and genre and talent that was cast. And there's a third-party company called Nash, and you pay them and they provide all the data, and you can see what the revenue was generated, out of 10, 15, 20 films or more. And yeah, for our film, a lot of the comps were $1 million, and the average revenue was around is around 2.2 million for the returns. And the great thing is our budget is half of that. So that 2.2 actually goes to 2.7, and I knew that horror films, majority of them make money.
Yeah.
And so
they're safe investment.
Exactly. So my first film.
They don't cost that much, and you can, yeah.
Right. So to do my first film and show a return to investors, now that's a better starting point and foundation to do Fugitive Zero.
Smart. All right. So wrapping up here now, I want to talk about, because you have an entrepreneurial spirit. I can already tell. Do you have a beginning of the day routine?
Beginning of the day. Yeah. Wake up at 7:30. Of course, eat breakfast, I check email, and I just say, what do I need to do to advance the movie or real estate, and whatever that is, I just do it. So whether it's storyboards or looking for visual effects artists, putting up, ads for crew, looking at self-tapes from actors, that's what my day is filled with. I mean, I don't have a 9-to-5 job. I haven't had a 9-to-5 job for, I don't know, 10 years. So I can't, it's stifling to me. I'm not able to do it. It doesn't work for me. So yeah. And then the rest of the day is just meetings, production meetings, interviewing for the cast or crew, and just making sure we have everything in place for the movie and for real estate, writing up contracts, talking to investors, and yeah.
Do you have a nighttime routine?
I'll keep working until I just get exhausted. And sometimes if I've had too much caffeine, which is the case, I'll just work until 3 a.m. in the morning, because I just say, okay, I can't sleep. I tried sleeping, lay down for an hour. No, I'm just going to get up. It's like 1 in the morning right now, and I'll just work until 3, drink some hot milk to get my body to calm down from the caffeine. I have a love-hate relationship with caffeine. So right now I've been having to limit iced coffee, just one drink. But if I do an extra one that is a tea, like a milk tea or a black tea, I'm over the edge and I have trouble sleeping. But then I'll just continue to work.
Same here. I can only have like 1 cup of coffee. I just feel it. I'm very susceptible to the caffeine. So I understand what you're saying. Do you meditate?
I used to meditate a lot in my teens and in my 20s. And I got to the point where I realized, like, I'm meditating so much, but like my life isn't moving the direction I want it to be moving in. So I really I took what I had cultivated in meditation and like Tai Chi and martial arts and just applied it to regular life, and just try to keep my mental state at a certain like level, you could say. Yeah. And so I no longer meditate. I don't have the need for it. I've tried to go back to it, but it's just not there. And I find myself far more creative now, and I don't have a need for it. I'm extremely happy with my life. And just working with all the people I get to work with, and we hardly have any hiccups in terms of our film production. We've only had one, but it was minor compared to what I've heard, the horror stories that I've heard from other people. And yeah, life is good. So,
wow. What was your practice of meditation?
I used to meditate for like half an hour before going to bed. Yeah, it was quite a bit. But the funny thing is, I switched because I had gone to spiritual teachers as well over the course of the years, because my mental state was not always good growing up. I mean, I was suicidal at age 12. I was suicidal again at age 21, and I had to overcome that. And it was very strange because I had no reason to feel that way, especially when I was like 12. There's no reason, loving family, my parents were great, I had a great support structure. I was always cared for. I didn't have anything traumatic that happened to me. But then at 21, I had a schizophrenic episode. Well, let me go back to age 12. I had written it down, and I'd given it to my teacher, and she saw that I wrote this note about like suicide and this and that. So she told my parents, and she talked to me about it. They didn't know what to do, so, if you don't have training for it, what do you do? So the interesting thing was, I don't know who came up with it, but the school administrators decided to have the entire class make a day just for me, to give me so much attention, so much affection, so much love. I was the center of attention for an entire day in this school. And it was like, this is like the 5th or 6th grade, Hollow Hills. And to this day, I so appreciate the kids, the administrative staff. And I had to go in spiritually at one point years later, and I just thanked them, and I had to just like go in there and like connect at this, like whatever you call it, radio waves, frequency,
Yeah.
spiritual level, and just say thank you. You're all just golden. I said thank you so much for doing that for me, because it pulled me out, and I
Yeah. I
experienced
mean,
that again.
that's
Until 21.
that's really powerful that they were willing to do that.
Yeah.
I mean, they didn't just label you the problem. Like, well, let's see if we can help him.
Well, the funny thing is, nobody told me about it. Nobody told me that it happened. I found out because they brought this up with another student, a girl who was going through some issues. And that was the plan, to make the whole day about her. And then years later, I realized, oh, they did that for me. And it worked for both of us. And to this day, my parents have never told me. They've never said anything about it. And it just, so.
Wow.
Yeah, love works. Love, attention.
Works. Love works. Yeah. Exactly. Last question. So what films and television are you watching right now? What are you watching? What are you enjoying?
Oh God. I try watching TV shows, but a lot of them they don't do it for me.
Yeah.
I've never been a huge TV fan anyways. I got into The Walking Dead, Game of Thrones. I get into them late, and then once the seasons go sour, I kind of just tune them out. Game of Thrones.
Westworld? Have you tried that one?
Tried watching Westworld, not really into it.
Yeah,
I love Black Mirror. If it's anthology, I can just get in and get out. Great. Mandalorian was great, season 1 only. Films, I tend to go back and rewatch the classics because I just study them. When I watch films, I just keep studying. Where are the shots? Where's the lighting? How's the performance? Why the character's saying this? Why are they doing that? It's constant study when I watch a movie. The only times I can't study anymore when I'm watching a movie, because I watch it on 2 levels, like an audience member for enjoyment and then studying at the same time, right?
Yeah.
Is when it's so good, it's so effective, the roller coaster ride, they've done an amazing job. Then I'll just forget. And those times have just been like The Matrix, the first one, Sixth Sense, Family Man. It's like, Lights Out.
Wow.
These are all 10 out of 10s for me. And
yeah,
I'm absorbed. I forget.
Do you study Zemeckis at all? He's very good at that. Letting you get, like, if you look at the film Romancing the Stone,
yep,
the way it's shot and the editing, it's almost a perfect film because he just sets up, your eye goes directly to it, and he's foreshadowing. He's using all these. I don't know. I love Robert Zemeckis. I'm a big Zemeckis guy. Do you like? I just saw like a couple of months ago the film that Alex Garland did, Men, which is his follow-up to Annihilation. I don't know if you're familiar with that director.
Yeah. Well, going back to Zemeckis, and then I'll get to
yeah.
I'll get to that. Is that, I mean, he's a master, and what I love about him is he was under Spielberg's tutelage, and he always asked, who is seeing this right now? He never shows something just to show it. Like, he says, whose perspective is this? So like when I watch Back to the Future, it's always from, like, if you're seeing a scene, like somebody's either watching it or you feel so engaged, you're with them, as opposed to doing a standard, we're going to shoot the establishing shot, and then we're going to go over the shoulders, and or the singles. I mean, when I watch movies, the director is doing the same exact process, the same shot sequence, I check out. I'm out of there, But Zemeckis, he doesn't do that. He opens in unique ways, and I take the Spielberg approach. I take the James Cameron Zemeckis approach. Who's seeing this, and how can we engage? And it's a constant reveal. This is what I'd want to get to any other filmmakers listening right now. Every shot that you do your best to have a concept in there, and to have a reveal. The reveals are key, are absolutely key. If you show a shot and you show everything in there, Well, everyone's processing everything at once, as opposed to starting on an object and moving on to something else to reveal someone else in relation to that object. Don't just show the person and the object at the same time. The reveals are what hold us and what hook us. What are we going to see next when the camera is moving? Or why are they moving closer to the camera? Or why they
like Ridley Scott's Gladiator. First shot, you see a hand wheat.
Yes.
Going through wheat.
Yes.
You know, it's hinting at what's to come, you know? Jumps, but you're right. No, it's always got to be a reveal of something, because that'll connect you to the next thing. You know, It's like, oh, that. Oh, wait, now here we go. Now we got to keep going this way, you know. 28 days later, you know, he's going through it. Reveal. Oh, look, here comes the priest. It's him. They're all coming at him. What happens next? He gets saved. Now we get exposition, but the exposition feels earned because we have no idea what has happened. And the actors are doing such a good job of explaining it. Then we're on to the next thing. It gets, you know, it's just that same thing, but it's, you know, it's always revealing something more. So it doesn't feel like, you know, some films, like it's like, oh, we got to get to point A. Now we're at point B. Now we're at point C. Movie over.
Yeah.
What did I learn? Nothing.
And look, going back to Citizen Kane, look at the journalist that we follow. Never see his. He's always backlit. That's fascinating.
Yeah.
What movie today does that?
Hey,
never see the person.
He's almost doing the reality TV show type of character, you know, the thing where they're talking about, well, you know, I never met, you know, Riley always thought about this, you know, they're always, you're hearing about him before we didn't even meet Kane till like 30 minutes into the film, you know, when we finally meet him.
Yeah.
It's very similar to The Third Man, where you just hear about the character and then it's brought up.
Yeah. Yeah.
You know, it's, yeah.
Well,
it's always got to be revealed.
Going back to the director of Annihilation, I never saw Men. I couldn't connect with Annihilation.
Annihilation wasn't as, I enjoyed Ex Machina. I thought that was like, this is new, this is different. It's a different way. Just these pristine shots. He wrote 28 Days Later. He ended up pretty much reshooting and making Dread in 2012 a watchable movie. That's why people are like still going, when are we gonna get another Dread? When are we gonna get another Dread? It's like, well, we don't know yet. Then he did Ex Machina. Men is, if you like interesting cinematography and you like interesting storytelling, you're willing to go with it and just like let it be, kind of the way a David Lynch film or David Cronenberg. I just saw Crimes of the Future, which, you know,
I want to see that.
It's gonna be, if you're patient with it, you'll be able to do it. If you want, you know, Zemeckis, Spielberg storytelling, it's not going to be that. It's a lot of there's a lot of waiting, and you got to just kind of pay attention, type of thing. I like that kind of film as well. I like Zemeckis and how fast it is, but I also like the films where, like David Lynch, where you're just like, I don't know what's happening, but this is interesting. You know, the way he's doing it, just the way, I don't know if you watch Twin Peaks: The Return, which is basically just a film in some ways. It's not really a TV show. He thought it, I mean, there's just, you talk about somebody who understands taking your time. You know, he just will like sit on a shot. But one thing I noticed when I was doing my research, when you saw 12 Years a Slave, one of my favorite films is Shame, which
yes.
I love the way that's a film that just like, you just keep going deeper and deeper and deeper and deeper. It's almost unbearable to watch. It's like a Japanese horror film where it's just like, you know, it's just that violin. We're just continuing to go, you know, until you're just like ready to, it's just like, I can't take it anymore, you know. And it's an interesting thing. I'm
like that with,
anyways,
Requiem for a Dream.
Yeah.
I get Aronofsky. I cannot watch that film. Like, I've seen it once.
Hard film.
I feel like I know every frame of it. it seared into my mind, and I just like, oh my God, what happens to the
No light at the end of the tunnel of that movie. No light at the end of the tunnel of that movie. That's just like a dark reality. And yeah, it's hard to watch that film. I mean, he's just but
yeah, but
what's his name? Darren Aronofsky. He really, you look at the film Mother, he really pushes the viewer. He pushes your patience, and he pushes what you're willing to tolerate. And I think we need those filmmakers that are willing to do that. It's not always going to work out commercially, but it pushes your thought process the same way. Oh, I forgot that last question, actually. What books are you reading? Because I saw a lot of books. What are you reading?
Yeah, it's interesting. I used to read so many books on business, entrepreneurship, and then spirituality. But I've switched to just listening to YouTube a lot and like some audiobooks. I mean, the last book that I listened to was what is that? Ready Player One. It knocked off Ender's Game as my favorite book of all time.
Really?
Ender's book was for a decade or more my favorite book, and then Ready Player One just blew it out of the water. And I'll try novels. I grew up reading fantasy novels, but a lot of times when I get into a book, it's the storytelling is not quite there, and I'll drop it. That's the problem with learning about storytelling. And it's just it kind of it affects the way I consume movies and books and TV, because I prevent myself from watching a lot of movies that I know are going to be bad just looking at the trailer, unless somebody really tells me like, hey, this is really good. I actually have to protect myself from I guess it's important, like I call it like bad storytelling, because if it's not done right, I get annoyed and I tune out because I'm thinking at the same time while I'm watching and enjoying it. And if it doesn't do it properly, it's like going on a roller coaster ride, but like you just stop and now you're waiting, or you're going backwards and there's no fun. Like I want to get out of
absolutely.
Yeah, so
do you feel like it's building to something and then there's nothing to be built and you're just like, well, that was okay. You're indifferent to the film, and that's the worst thing to have. I'd rather hate it or love it, but when you're just like indifferent, it's like it's okay. It feels like a waste of time. It feels like
I do listen to a lot of YouTube, especially Film Courage. Love Film Courage. And the funny thing is I've like listened to practically every interviewee on there, but it gives me a sense of comfort because I will re-listen to some of them, just knowing that there's others out there who are still at it, who are making movies. Because after graduating, really, it's unfortunate none of my classmates are still at it.
Same here in acting class. Very few are at it. It's just kind of the way that the ones that are really serious are going to stay with it, and the ones that are they're just going to drop off. I mean, unfortunately, it's a sad state of affairs, but this business is not for the weak at heart. You have to really persevere. It's a sad state of affairs, but I liked what you said. Last question, and I think this is a really good question to end on. What filmmakers inspire you?
God, number one is James Cameron. And then of course we have Spielberg. There's Ingmar Bergman. There's Akira Kurosawa. Oh boy, I'm forgetting who directed Some Like It Hot. I'm drawing a blank.
Some like Billy Wilder.
Billy Wilder, yes, brilliant. My God, yeah, those are in the top pantheons for me. So yeah,
awesome.
James Cameron,
awesome,
number one for me. Yeah,
I thought so. When I was doing my research, I was like, I bet he's a Cameron fan. There's something that tells me it's like Cameron fans can like almost sense that like because his screenplays are very, if you read his screenplays, they're very, and his films,
Yep.
everything makes sense. There's no wasted effort on it. He's not wasted. Same thing with, Zemeckis. It's just like, it's always, there's no like, we're just going to throw this shot in here and, there it's in there. And it's like, well, why was that in there? Well, the producer wanted it. So thank you for doing this. This has been a delight. How can people reach you?
Well, they can go to, right now, they can go to thefetusmovie.com if they're into horror. You can just see the progress. I'm always updating it. This interview is going to go on there as well as other interviews. I'll have a page for media. If they're interested in Fugitive Zero, there's fugitivezero.com. For my social media, it's facebook.com/Shining Light Pictures. That's my company, Shining Light Pictures. Instagram, I don't use it a whole lot. My handle is @It's Joe Lamb, ITS Joe Lamb. And yeah, those are my social media handles, and that's about it. So I definitely appreciate you having me on, Justin. You're very inquisitive. A lot of great questions. You do a lot of research. We're going back to high school. I mean, so
2006, 2009, every single one of your films. The only one I wasn't able to see was Splits. I couldn't see that for some reason. I couldn't find that. And Hoops for Life.
Oh God, I did Splits for Project Greenlight. And I did it in 1 week, and it just wasn't good. I put like $400 into the production, and the cast was great. It was too rushed, and I learned my lesson from that.
All right. Well, thank you, sir. I appreciate it, and I will see you.
All right, thank you.
Okay, that about does it from my interview with Joe Lamb. That was part 2. I hope you enjoyed it. As always, you can find me @Justin Yance, and you can find him on Facebook, Joe Lamb, filmfreeway.com, LinkedIn, and yes, as well as shininglightpictures.com. So I would like to thank Joe Lamb personally for doing this interview, and I hope you enjoyed it, and stay tuned for more to come. And I will see you next time on the DMF.